It's Phil, it's Swansea Sound, and we're talking hollybobs on the show today. We've got Honey Lancaster-James back with us. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, very good, thank you. It's always a pleasure, you know.
Oh, I love coming on.
Always good. And we've got Kat Jordan from Travel Zoo as well. Hello, good to have you on too.
Hi there, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. We're talking today about travelling alone. There is a taboo about this, isn't there?
Yes, I mean, I think one of the things that has come out of this new research that we're here to talk about is that actually there does seem to be this bit of a stigma, or at least people are afraid that there's a stigma to being seen to be travelling alone. And of course, what people worry about often is the kind of social aspect of that. So perhaps you don't mind going to see a museum or see a tourist attraction on your own. But when it comes to having dinner in the evening, people feel a little bit reluctant to maybe go to a restaurant. So they might end up going back to their hotel room and feeling a little bit down in the dumps because they haven't got anyone to go out for dinner with. And I think that was probably if I'm honest, that was probably my kind of concern about going on a holiday by myself as well. But I did it. Just come back about 3 weeks ago from my first ever solo holiday. And I absolutely loved it. And it was so funny because it turned out to be probably one of the most sociable holidays I've ever been on. Because I think when you go on one of these, so there is an increasing movement now to putting together these organised kind of solo holidays. So you're a solo traveller, but you go and you've got a rep there who's maybe putting a group together. There's other solo travellers just like you. You all get together. And I just thought, for me, it was the absolute best of both worlds because I have quite an intense, busy job. And I loved the fact that I could go away. I could do exactly what I wanted to do. I could go and see what I wanted to see and not have to compromise, like when I go on holiday with the family or whatever.
Yeah.
I could just do what I wanted to do, but I still then could get together with the group in the evenings and have dinner and cocktails and chat about what we'd done or get recommendations from what was good to see or whatever. And I absolutely loved it. And one of the things that was telling for me was that there were lots of other people there who had done it before, and there were several people who'd done it 6, 7, 8 times. Because I think they said, look, once you've done it once and you've got over that fear, over that kind of reluctance to be seen to be going on your own, and especially if your group, you're meeting up with other solo travellers just like you, they just never looked back, and they got so much out of it that they're doing it time and time and time again. And I think that's got to be a real testimony to the benefits that we can get out of it.
And Kat, this is music to your ears. I mean, it's something that you already know, I guess, isn't it?
Absolutely. We're seeing more and more people asking us about solo travel. And half the people we surveyed in this Travel Zoo survey said they have travelled solo. So it's massively in growth. I mean, it's not surprising when you consider the number of single-person households in Britain and how the population is changing from that respect. And we believe everybody should have a good holiday. So if you don't have a partner to go on or a friend to go with, you're widowed or divorced, then there's a number of amazing options now available. And why shouldn't you go out and, take that holiday for yourself, even if you're on your own?
Do you know one of the reasons that I've not done this yet, right, is I'd be afraid I'd get lost.
Well, but that's a good thing about going on one of the organised ones, because then you're in a group. I mean, one of the things I've got my eye on next. Now that you've tried it, now that I've tried it once, I've got to do this again. And one of the trips I've got my eye on is a solo cruise, and I love that idea because then you're going on organised. Once you get into your destination or your port or whatever, you're going on an organised tour, an organised excursion every day. Because I worry about that a bit as well, especially being a sort of female on my own. I don't want to go off down some road and get lost. So I think that's one of the benefits, really, of trying it. And also, I suppose, going on something more organised, you perhaps, rather than just putting a backpack on and going off to, outer wherever, you're at least getting the benefit of the guide's view on where you should go as well. So
absolutely.
Even when I went to Corfu and it was beautiful. I'd never been before. But getting those kind of insider tips from our rep and saying, actually, this is a great place to go and see the sunset, or this is a really good place to go and see the sunrise. Those kind of little tips, I think, were really helpful as well.
Definitely. Is it a generational thing as well? Because I find that youngsters today, when I say youngsters, I'm all about Generation Z and things, are they more keen to travel alone? Are they happier to do that than older people?
Yes, I think so. And there's a number of companies that cater specifically to that age group. And what we're also seeing is that age group, particularly Gen Z, Gen X, they're looking at the more sort of eco-led volunteerism type trips. When you get to the older market, and the biggest growing area of solo travel is in the plus 50s female market. They are choosing to go on a more of an escorted type tour. So a big provider like Just You, or even if it's just UK-based, a Shearing's travel type company, who feel they feel comfortable with that. And there's a lot more like-minded plus 50 women also going on those trips. So they make a lot of friends. Honey said that she was the most sociable she's been on her trip when she went solo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think when you travel with your partner or with your friend or with your family, there's a tendency to just speak to them and not really sort of branch out.
Definitely.
And so for me, I think there was something about kind of going and meeting up with other solo travellers, knowing that everybody who was sitting around your pool was just like you. And so everyone was happy if you chatted to them and, you got together at breakfast and in the evening or whatever. You didn't feel the pressure that I think you sometimes feel when you travel with other people to kind of accommodate what they want to do. And so you didn't have to do that. You could do exactly what you wanted to do, but you also had people to mix with and chat with. And by the end of the week, to be honest, it did feel like I was just on a holiday with a big group of friends. That's how it felt.
And dipping your toes like that, there's a lovely safety net there as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's like many things in life, isn't it? If it's outside of your comfort zone, then maybe trying something that's sort of halfway there to see how you feel about it is a good way of doing it. So perhaps try a long weekend or something like an organised group tour or an excursion or something where you're not going to be on your own, but you get to go a little bit further afield than perhaps you would feel comfortable doing it if you were completely on your own. So I think that's what I like about it.
There's a number of tips as to sort of how to dip your toe into the water and how to feel safe alone on our website, on the Solo September page. And I think one of the things I found really interesting in there was there's a number of different apps that you can go onto that can help you find people to go on tours with. There's people that open their homes up and feed you if you're going on a trip. Like if you're going to Italy, there's Italian families that will invite you into their family so you're not eating alone. And a number of other really, really good apps that can help really inspire that confidence in you if you are going to go out and try this for the first time.
And of course, going into these darker months when we talk about loneliness and anxiety and things like that, this would be perfect, wouldn't it?
I think so. I mean, because I've been on before, I'm always talking about the benefit of kind of having a break midway through winter. And I get quite seasonally affected myself, and many, many people do. I think partly it's the kind of vitamin D thing, but it's also about just kind of withdrawing and having a tendency to stay in a lot more and perhaps be less sociable during the winter months. So I think booking a trip for something like maybe midway through or maybe March or something like that is a great thing as well, because you've got it on the horizon to look forward to. And we know from some sort of studies around the psychology of travel that when you go on a holiday, you're not just benefiting while you're away on your holiday. You're also benefiting in the lead up to it in terms of having it to look forward to and planning. And actually, one of the things that's interesting about this movement towards solo travel that I've noticed is that quite a lot of them will have things like where once you've signed up, say you've booked a solo holiday, they will often have like a Facebook group or a WhatsApp group or something that you can join beforehand. So you can actually get to know people who are going to be going on the same trip as you, which I loved. I thought that was great. So you've got all of that in the lead up to it. And then, of course, when you come back, you've got the benefit of then having nice memories to look back on. But, for example, as soon as I touched down back in London, when I got back from Corfu, there was kind of this group email going around, people sharing their holiday snaps and their photos and saying, is anybody going to be in such and such? Do you want to meet up? And so I'm going to be meeting up with a couple of people who I met on the holiday who are based fairly local to me. And interestingly, one of the ladies actually who was on our group, she said that she'd made such good friends on one of the solo holidays that she'd done a few years ago that this particular group that she'd made there, they now go away annually together as a group. And I thought, wow, that's amazing.
Oh, that's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love that. All right, if someone wants to find more information, then let's just touch base on those websites again. Where can they go to?
So if you go to travelzoo.com, you'll see a whole Solo September section on our homepage, and in there you've got the blogs, the hints, the tips, and some absolutely fabulous holidays. We've got Italy, Croatia, a Caribbean cruise, Canada. So if they check out that, they'll be able to find some great. And the other thing is these are all holidays with no solo supplement. So the important thing is that people are not being penalised for choosing to travel solo, which is really important to us right now.
I've got a blog post on there as well about my recent trip to Corfu, so you can read a little bit more about what I got up to if you want to.
Love that.
Get some tips.
X-rated.
No, it's not. It's not. It's very, very good.
It's all very safe. All right, it's been lovely having you both on again.
Oh,
thank you
for having us.
Speak to you soon.
Take care.